Good morning. Good morning. I am Dr. Karen Lewis. I am the host on the Real on Radio, Real Talk, Real People, and Real Estate. And we're sponsored by Urban Real Estate School. So if you are interested in getting your real estate license, we are here. And my phone number is 954-248-9149. And I am also a licensed real estate broker where I can help you purchase a house or find your house or sell your house. And next to me is my co-host. The mic is yours.
Good morning, everyone. This is Tamika Moses, broker owner of Robinburg Realty, and I can be reached at 954-404-4646. I'm looking forward to an awesome show today. Karen.
I left my coffee
You
over
left
there.
your coffee. You left your coffee.
All right. Oh, Madam President. Oh,
Yes.
you just Madam President
you
of
know.
everything.
No.
Oh, she's Madam President of National Association of Real Estate Brokers. She's Madam President of the Commercial Miami Board of Realtors. Wow.
No.
It's an honor to even have Madam President.
You know,
here
you
with
be
us.
calling me Madam President. I'm just Tamika.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. But we're getting ready to have some fun. Let me see, Madam President, let me see that number because people may want to call in today. So that number is 1-888-599-9626. I'm going to give that number out again, 1-888-599-9626. We have a super guest. And this is one of the things that if you're wanting to purchase a house, we have somebody that's going to help you if you have bad credit, because it exists. Dun, 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 Mr. Mike, introduce yourself.
Good morning, I'm Andre Coakley, president of Credit 360, a local credit repair company that has a passion for helping individuals get their credit back on track. I like to say I have the superpower of taking financial mishaps and transforming that into financial opportunities.
Wow. We're ready for you. Okay, so first scenario, I'm ready to purchase a house. And my credit is 490, and my car note was late for 2 months, maybe about 3 months ago, and I got a lot of collections. Should I pay my collections off?
So, great question. So, should you pay your collections off? Now, first and foremost, I believe when you borrow money from people, you should have the willpower or more to want to pay it, right? However, unfortunately, life is going to keep life, right? Regardless.
I like that. Life is going to keep life.
Life is going to keep life, and I have this saying, bad things happen to good people, right?
Okay.
Even just last week, something happened with my family, and I was with one of my son actually, and I kind of questioned, like, why is this happening to me? I try to do right, but bad things even happen to good people.
Right.
All right, so one of the things that to answer the question, should you pay off collections and charge-offs? Now, the credit scoring system is a very unforgiving system. It's there to persecute us for the mistakes and mishaps that we've made. So paying off a collection in your credit report is the moral and correct thing to do. However, it doesn't necessarily improve the credit score immediately because the credit scoring system is more concerned that you actually disrupted the behavior before you correct it. For example, and I'm going to talk about relationships a lot today. I like to use relationships as examples so we can kind of understand this. If I were to actually cheat on my wife, and I'm just going to use this as an example,
Okay.
right? And I get caught, right? And I apologize, give my life back to her again.
After she has taken it, she's going to give it. She'll learn it.
She has taken it away. I give my life back to her. Regardless, there's nothing I can do to take the scar of cheating away. I can buy her a brand new car, buy her a brand new purse, buy her a brand new box of chocolates, 12 dozen of 12 roses, and still will never ever leave the label of being a cheater. I'm going to drag that into my future, unfortunately. So what we're trying to say is with credit problems, you need to be in front of them, not behind them. The second you're behind them, the credibility will always be tarnished and you'll never be what you were prior to the occurrence.
So explain that when you say we should be in front of and not behind that.
Well, in front of is kind of understanding debt management. I think in today's time, society has kind of programmed us with the notion that we should be using credit for everything we do. Now, I'm a firm believer of credit, but I'm not a firm believer of debt, and they're totally two different things. A lot of times, my clients come to my office, they don't have the true understanding the difference between credit and debt. They think credit is debt. So if I tell a client I have a $30,000 credit card, they're like, whoa, they're kind of thrown off because in their mind, they think I owe somebody $30,000. I'm like, no, I only have a $300 balance on that $30,000 credit card. So credit is a tool if it's used correctly, but it also can be a detriment if not used correctly. So it's like a gun. A gun's a great thing if somebody's kicking in the door and I need to protect my family. A gun's a bad thing if the guy who's kicking the door in has it in his hand and I don't have one to protect my family, right? So it's not the tool that's the problem. It's the intention behind the tool that winds up causing the problem.
You just said something very positive. Credit can be good. Debt can be good if it's used correctly. And I think a lot of people get the misinformation of, okay, I have this credit card, so now I can just go on a shopping spree. I can do all of these things or whatever. So that was something powerful because people think like, oh, credit. So I have access to credit, so I can just go buy any and everything and not have any discipline.
Great point. And just to kind of piggyback on that, when it comes to credit, the ideal utilization you should have on a credit card is 1 to 7%. So if you have a $300 credit card, theoretically, you should not be spending over $21 on that credit card on a monthly basis. It's shown through data that what we call FICO high earners or high producers, these individuals have a 1 to 7% utilization, which means you need to have access to those people's money, but you don't need to be spending it and using it. What contributes to the high credit score is having access to money and not using it.
So two questions. So this is good information. What about if you have an American Express card and that's unlimited? So is there a certain amount that you should be using? I had a credit card. It's twofold. I had a credit card before and they canceled it because I didn't use the credit card.
All right. So two different methods. Or the first question. The first part is if you had an American Express and it doesn't have a limit.
Okay.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, or how much should you use? So there's two different types of credit cards, or two types of credit functions. You have a credit card, and then you have a charge card. Totally two different things. A credit card lets you revolve the balance and pay partial payments for a duration of time. A charge card requires payment to be paid in full within 30 days.
Oh, wow.
So that American Express charge card, it's considered a premium luxury item to have in your credit portfolio. However, a charge card is not a good credit card from a credit scoring standpoint because it doesn't have a limit. So let's say, for example, I have a American Express Platinum card. I could spend $70,000 in one swipe on that credit card, and they will actually let the card go approve it. Right? However, they want $70,000 back in 30 days. They don't want a partial payment. They want it to be paid back in full, right? However, because it's really just a charge card and really a 30-day extension of credit, it's not really a line of credit. It doesn't build credit like a credit card. Wow. Ideally, I'd rather you have a $70,000 credit card versus a $70,000 charge card.
Yes, and that's one thing with American Express, you do have to watch and see which one you're applying for, because they do have the revolving cards, and even in the platinum, the gold, we try to watch it. Is it a revolving platinum? Is it a charge card? Because they do have that.
Exactly.
And people like, first thing, I just want American Express. Did you read the terminology? Did you read that contract? Is it a charge card or a revolving card?
Short little story about that. I had a client, he was a high-end client. He was a contractor on the West Coast, very particular about American Express reward points. That was his thing, points.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, that's a lot of people's point, to use the cards for points.
Exactly. So because he was a contractor, he put a lot of his business expenses on the credit card, paid them off in full. Money wasn't an issue. However, he was very concerned because he could never get to the 800 mark. I instructed him that, I looked through his report, didn't have any late payments, nothing derogatory. After going through the reports, we noticed that he had, his charge card. And I'm like, well, you need to back out of the charge card. You probably need to kind of disperse your spending a little bit, try to spread it out to other credit cards so you're not overutilizing them and so on. He wound up doing it. His credit scores went to the 800. he had a magazine subscription tied to his actual charge card that actually resubscribed almost about 6 months, 7 months after the program for $11. That $11 balance hit his credit report and dropped his credit score 55 points.
Wow.
Because it reads it as a maxed out line of credit. That American Express charge card doesn't have a limit on the credit report. Whatever the balance is whatever the limit is.
Right.
So if it has an $11 balance, it has an $11 limit. If it has a $70,000 balance, it has a $70,000 limit.
That's good.
So
That's good.
matters.
That's good
That's
information.
excellent. Oh, wow. This is definitely good information.
Yeah. I have a scenario. So, you know, I know right now people are going through hard times, especially with credit cards. With credit card balances are at an all-time high. We know inflation and everything. So what happens? Okay, so what would you suggest to a client? Because I know I've had some clients that are actually now getting sued by credit card companies, by collection agencies. So what are some of the things that they can do in order to kind of settle those debts?
Okay, so first and foremost, this is a legal question. I'm not necessarily
Okay, exactly.
right?
But from a
Okay,
credit-
we do not provide legal advice.
Right.
But
We
from a
just
credit-
talking maybe it's so.
Maybe, but from a credit standpoint,
Yeah.
because a lot of
Right.
people now they're actually being
Exactly.
sued by credit card companies.
Well, what happens is a credit card company can possibly sue you because you actually defaulted or you went derogatory in that debt. It's kind of hit or miss if a credit card company is going to sue you after you've actually defaulted on that credit card. The issue with that is because of inflation as well, it's a little bit more difficult for creditors and collection companies to hire attorneys to sue somebody and take them to court and pay court fees who might just still not pay. Now they've actually ran up the bag on themselves
Yeah.
and didn't actually collect anything. What we would suggest is if you are, number one, being approached by a debt collector, you can get an attorney involved. However, it's a lot of these type of cases, you can pretty much represent yourself, right? You don't necessarily need an attorney. And what happens is most of these cases don't even get seen by a judge. It's not like it's divorce court or anything like that, right? It's not a whole court scene. Pretty much what happens is when you're sued, what the initial attorney does for the actual creditor, they initially try to actually get the case taken to court, but the judge recommends mediation. I normally recommend if you're trying to actually work out the best deal if you've been sued, is most likely trying to get it to the mediation point. What happens is if, let's say Capital One, for example, is suing me, they're going to contact me, say they're suing me. If I call Capital One and I try to work out an agreement right now with them, Capital One is in a dominant stance because they're the ones attacking me. I have my defense up. However, if you go through the process, which is stressing to some people because now they got to take off from work, they might have to go to the actual courthouse. But if you're able to do those things and that case gets in front of a mediator, it's a different type of negotiation at that time because a mediator is like a referee, somebody who's in between you and Capital One to try to make the deal be beneficial for both parties who may be. So I like to say, when you try to call the creditor after you've been sued directly, that's like husband and wife trying to work out their own divorce.
Exactly.
Right? When you go to a mediator, that's like husband and wife going to a pastor, friend, family member, somebody who can be in the middle to try to explain both parties' position to try to find some type of compromise.
Gotcha. This is great. I'm turning
That's
my
great.
mind. This is great information. So here's a question. Because when students graduate from high school and then they go to college, they're offered, credit. And then, so there are some students that go and pay $20 for the umbrella, but at the end of the day, the umbrella costs $100. What can you say to students who are getting ready to go to college or even to their parents in reference to credit?
Great question. So I'm gonna hit the parents first. Parents, the first thing you can do, or the best thing you can do for your little ones if they're trying to actually achieve financial success is number one is have the conversations about credit. Now, I go into elementary schools and I teach fourth graders what's the highest credit score, what's the lowest credit score, what's good debt, what's bad debt. Because ideally, we need to get in front of them before society gets in front of them. We talk about getting in front of problems, right?
And that's amazing that you do that at that early, at teaching students at that early age.
Yeah, a lot of times people kind of question, well, but these kids, they're a lot farther advanced than we realize. And they are seeing these things through social media. When I was growing up, you had to know somebody who was rich to know what rich looked like.
Yeah.
Our kids are able to sit in their living room or their bedroom and see what a billionaire's son looks like and how they live their life, because this billionaire son has a social media manager. They're capitalizing off of our attention, and our kids are kind of questioning themselves by the perspective that they're looking at. All right. So that's the reason why, number one, the conversations need to take place. Number two, if you're a parent and you have pretty decent credit and you have most parents have good intentions, but as we like to say, life keep life. Right? Life gonna keep life. Right? Right? And, as we say, bad things happen to good people. So we understand that. However, if you are trying to, propel your child to the next level, you should be adding your child as an authorized user at the age of probably 16 to a credit card that you don't really use. Short story, when I was actually building my son's credit, my youngest son, Cam, we were building his credit. I added him to a few of my credit cards at the age of 16. When he turned 18 years old, he applied for his very first credit card. His very first credit card was a Capital One credit card for $20,000 at the age of 18. Now, don't get me wrong, as a father, as a credit repair expert, I was extremely happy. But on the flip side, as a realist, I was a little bit frustrated. And the reason why I was frustrated, because Capital One only gave me a $15,000 limit at that point. How they gonna give my son a $20,000 limit? But long story short, we have to be careful with that, because even though it sounds like a blessing, I didn't give my son a gun. I gave him a machine gun. He can do a lot of damage if he's not disciplined with a $20,000 credit card off the bat. Right. So there was intensive conversations about that. We put the credit card in safe. You can't hold on. You can't even hold this credit card because it's valuable. If you were to actually lose this credit card and misplace your wallet, at the end of the day, you could be on the hook for this money. You understand? So I say that to say it's about positioning. But again, it's thinking forward and building backwards. You got to be ahead of the problem. Anything you're doing with real estate, anything you're doing from a financial investing standpoint, you have to think forward and build backwards.
This is great. This is great, because I like the way how you said it's like a machine gun. I mean, you can do a lot of damage. You can do good or bad. So, which is great. And it's great that you're getting in front of the students now at an early age. Because social media, you can actually go on social media and you can see all of these things, and they're being self-taught. It's like, you know what? My mother is a credit expert. Let me go sit down and talk to them and everything. Because you do have some parents that are probably still doing bad credit behavior. So it's great that you're, with your expertise, that you're getting in front of these students so they can say, this is the bigger picture.
And of course, we learn from our environments, even if it's unintentional. You learn from your environment. So being in a financially nourished environment plays a role. And when we look at other ethnicities and other groups, we're wondering, well, how is Bobby 20 years old and he's driving a BMW, and here it is, I'm 40 years old and I'm driving a hoopty, right? And a lot of that is because of positioning. Family members, loved ones were thinking forward. They were putting Bobby on credit cards. Bobby got an 800 credit score. And he ain't never touched a credit card because people were managing that on the back end and preparing him.
Yeah, Bobby could go out into the bank and go get a line of credit for $100,000 or $1 million for his business because he's already been put on an LLC or whatever. So that's
right. So this is what I like. What you just said is that their parents were managing their credit without them even doing anything. And so that's a plus for us in our community, is that we start paying attention. A lot of times we're saying that we love our kids, and we say we love our kids because we go out there and give them the Air Jordans that we never had, or we go and give them the polos that we never had growing up. But that's not love. That's actually setting our kids up for failure if we're not forward thinking for our children, if we're not thinking about their credit credit score or their debt. You know, a lot of times we say, again, we love our kids, but by the time they go to college, they're in financial debt by the time they get out because we haven't prepared them for that right there. So I really think what you're saying is just great information, and that we need to get it. This is our awaken call, that we need to get it.
It is an awakening call. I always, you know, for the last couple of years, I think that we need to. I think that the school system definitely needs to implement a financial literacy class in these schools and say this is a requirement in order to graduate instead of a standardized test. I'm like, you need to teach them real world skills.
Right.
And
News alert. If you all are teachers out there, I mean, and you have Andre, you have Madam Tamika, and myself, Dr. Karen. If you all want somebody to come and share this information to your students, then definitely by all means do so, because it's great information. And if we don't give it to our kids, we're hurting our kids. My number is 954-248-9149.
Mine, Tamika Moses, 954-404-4646. Andre, please tell them your contact information.
It's a must.
Exactly.
I'm Andre Coakley. You can find me at www.credit360.biz, or you can reach me by phone 305-235-4848. And just to piggyback off what you were saying about kids, regardless to what your child's going to be in life, he's going to encounter a credit score. It has nothing to do with going to college. It has nothing to do with education. It's a credit. Understanding your credit is a life skill in today's time, because regardless to where you go, if you apply for any type of insurance product, if you're applying for any type of course credit product, any type of banking product, you're looking at your credit score. I had a lady the other day. She worked for a government. She worked for a government entity. This government entity hired a third party company to do their security. Because of her job, she had to get a security clearance. They hired a third party company to do this security clearance audit. They pulled her credit, saw that she filed bankruptcy 3 years ago. Because she filed bankruptcy, they actually wound up letting her go from her job because they feel that it's a threat for her to be having financial mishaps at the position that she sits in, because they feel she can be possibly compromised because she's not financially stable.
Wow.
Right? So she came to me, to help try to resolve this problem from an issue standpoint. And there were certain requirements that they put in place in order for her to possibly be able to get her job back. But we had to position herself for that. And she really only filed the bankruptcy because something she was watching on social media said that's how she should actually get out of another particular situation.
Wow.
So do your due diligence. Let's just figure out where you really are. Talk to all the parties at B whenever you're trying to solve these type of credit and financial situations.
And here's something else too. Face the music. A lot of times we don't even want to look at our credit. We don't even want to deal with it. And because we think that it's nothing, but credit is really, as you just said, Andre, it's a part of life. It's not going anywhere. That's one thing that's going to be here and it's going to stay. So no matter if your credit is 400, no matter if your credit is 700, monitor your credit. Follow up with it. And also, I recommend twice. You might recommend that you take a look at your credit at least once, minimum once per year. And what's that annual?
No.
He gonna correct me. Okay, scratch that. Wait, he's the expert, not Dr. Karen. Okay, scratch that. Let's do it. Let's go.
Unfortunately, in today's time and what takes place with financial identity theft.
Yes.
You need to be taking a look at your credit report almost every day, or if not, at least every day, weekly. I have a group that a mentoring group, and one of the behaviors of part of that group is every morning check your bank account for discrepancies and check your credit report for discrepancies, because these are your financial lifelines, and if anything or any mishaps were to take place to those financial lifelines, there is going to be a side effect or disruption in something in your life. Wow.
So, Andre, tell us, how can they check their credit report daily? Is there a site or something? Okay. I know one of them, nav.com, but that's a paid.
So NAV is for business credit, right? And NAV does give your personal credit profiles and business credit. Those are for business owners. But if you're just an individual who wants to check your credit, The first thing you should do is get your credit report from myfreeannualcreditreport.com.
Say it again.
Say it.
Not my free. Freecreditannualreport.com.
Free, all of that? Oh.
Freeannualcreditreport.com.
Yeah,
That's the national subsidiary that provides you the platform to be able to pull your actual credit report from all three bureaus. And this is going to be your full report. It's not going to be a consumer report. Consumer report or a monitoring report like Credit Karma. You can use platforms like Credit Karma, Identity IQ, Smart Credit. Actually, if you are ever interested in running a report, you can actually go to idiqreport.com. If you run that report and you get access to that report and you want a free credit consultation, I will give you a free credit consultation if you run that version of a credit report.
Say it again.
www.idiqreport.com.
See, we're like in the first grade, so you teach the fourth graders. So we need to broken down to us. We're first graders, okay? Because this is good information.
It's great information.
I'm telling you. So it's that time for us already.
It's
Wow, it's so fast. You want to say something in closing and tell the audience one more thing?
They had me closing. I didn't even get started. So I don't know how we're gonna work this out. I think we need to do a webinar, workshop, or a Zoom call,
exactly.
or something.
Oh, wow.
But if you guys are
Can we bring him back next
Yes,
time?
of course.
Can you come back next show?
Yes.
Okay. Can we bring him back?
Yes, because we need a part two, because I know you're going to roll into the business. I know people heard when you said now the business grade, so people have questions about business grade.
This man got so much nuggets. I'm telling you. Wow. Say something. And he is coming back. He's our guest the next show, the first Saturday at 10:30 a.m.
Great. I will see you guys next Saturday. I appreciate you giving us the attention, your time. I know sometimes it can be a little bit daunting, kind of carving out time throughout your daily day, because as we've been saying, life is going to keep lifing.
Wow.
And as we said, bad things are going to happen to good people. And just remember, this credit repair process or credit repair, it's a journey. It's not a sprint or a marathon, right? Trouble's easy to get into, hard to get out of by design. And that's biblical. That's biblical.
You ready to preach?
Anyway. Y'all meet me at Sunday. I'm just playing.
This is great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. My name is Tamika Moses again, broker owner of Robinson Realty, and I can be reached at 954-404-4646.
All right. And I am Dr. Karen Lewis. I am the owner of Urban Real Estate School, licensed real estate broker. 2 things I want you to take with you. Look at your bank account every day. Look at your credit report every day. You will see Andre with us again the first Saturday of next month at 10:30 a.m. We want to see you here, and thank you all for joining the Real on Radio, Real People, Real Talk, and Real Estate. And we are signing off.
Thank you.
Thank you.